Hey everybody, welcome to the For Knit's Sakes channel. My name is Allison and I'm coming to you from El Paso, Texas, where I live with my husband Jonathan, my two sons Levi and Oliver, and our dog Lucy, who is over in the corner somewhere. If you're new stumbling onto my little corner of the internet, thank you so much for stopping by. I hope you like what you see, and if you are a returning viewer, thank you so much for coming back. It's been about 2 weeks since I've talked to you guys last, and I have finished quite a few things. I've started quite a few things, and I've also wanted to start a lot of new projects. So I'm going to chat all about that today, and I'm hoping to keep it relatively short. I like to keep them underneath an hour because I know everybody has other things to do. I know I have a lot of podcasts to catch up on because I've had visitors for the week of Thanksgiving. So still recovering from that, and I'll talk about that later. And I have lots of podcasts to catch up on, needless to say. So we'll jump straight in with the prompt of the week, and that is going to be, if you could spend a day living the adventures of any cartoon character, which one would you choose? Now, I would consider this a cartoon character, but there is an Amazon original series for the kids called Tumbleleaf, and it's more of like a claymation sort of show, but there is a character on there. Her name is Auntie Pine. I'm assuming because she's a porcupine, and her son is Hedge, who is a hedgehog, and she knits everything. It's one of those cartoon knittings where like you just see their hands doing this and like a scarf just kind of forms underneath it. It's magical. My kids are always like, "You can't knit that fast, Mom." I'm also not a cartoon character, but it's a really cute show. If you have kids, I would highly suggest watching it. The boys really like it. In fact, Oliver's watching it right now while I'm filming really quick today. So I'm drinking out of a mug from Rothenburg, Germany. I don't get to drink out of it very often because the mouth is too wide for our pour over, so I just put bubbly water in it today. No Glühwein today. I'm feeling much better. So let's jump straight into some finished objects. And I have 2 pairs of socks, a scarf, and a half finished object, a hoe. So we're going to start with the finished socks, which are the socks that I have made for my nieces. We call them wrap and turn, so I don't use their names. T is about the same age as Oliver, and then W turns 1 at the end of this month. Today is December 1st, by the way. I forgot to mention that. And it is a slightly overcast day here in El Paso, and it is supposed to be 71 degrees, so I have the windows open. So sorry about any outside noises. People usually ride 4-wheelers or something by our house. So I've already showed one of T's socks, and I finished the other one. Hers don't match, but they just have the coordinating toes and cuffs because I didn't really want to waste unraveling the yarn to get to where the colors would match up here. And she's a 3-year-old, so she doesn't need super long socks. I tried them on Oliver and they fit. And they're just tube socks, 52 stitches on a size 1 needle. I used my Hiya sharps, and I have lamented about how I dislike the cords a lot on this podcast. And I have more needle talk to talk about today. So hers are done. I have all the information on the project page on my Ravelry, which if you want to find me on Ravelry, I'm a little all over the place today. It's under For Knit Sakes, and Instagram is the same. I took off the underscore in my Instagram so it was easier to find me, and I'm just switched over to that maybe like a month or 2 ago. So these are done for T, and then I cast on and finished both socks for W. Hers match because I just did the contrasting toe at the bottom. I did hers toe up because I wanted to have the really stretchy bind off because, you know, babies kind of have some chubby legs, and then they thin out when they start walking. So I didn't want the cast on to be super tight, trying to fit them on her legs. So I did hers toe up so I could have the extra stretchiness up here at the top for when she puts them on. And I like that hers match. And I did a contrasting toe. You can see it doesn't quite match this purple up here. And this is just some Cascade that I've had in my stash. I made a scarf for a friend, and I had 2 skeins of it. My sister had sent me a while back, and I didn't use the full 2 skeins to make her scarf, so I've had this kind of floating around as contrasting for heels, toes, etc. So hers are done. Same stitch count. So there's still 52 stitches. Oh wait, I lied. I did these on my Chow Goose. I did these on my Hiya Hiya Sharps because I switched out my Hiya Hiya Sharps on a different project and did it for these. And I'm actually, it's interesting because the tease socks feel a little bit looser gauge than W socks do. And they're pretty much the same size. I still need to wash them and weave in all the ends and all that jazz. So I just found that a little interesting. I guess if I want a slightly tighter gauge, I should use my Hiya Hiyas. If I'm using size 1s, that is. I don't have any 0s in Hiya Hiyas. I just have my Chow Goose, and I have them in 9-inch circs and a 32-inch cord. So, but these are done, and I'm really excited to get them in the mail as soon as I finish up the other projects, which is in my works in progress. The next is a half-finished object, and it is the less than perfect yarn from Arnie and Carlos in the Garden colorway. I finished a sock. I really like the Perfect line, but the legs are really long. I've been accustomed to making shorter socks since living in El Paso because longer socks I'm not really wearing as often. Now that might change next week when we get this huge cold front and it's going to be 30 something degrees in the morning and then highs of only 50, which is pretty cold for this area. But I talked about on my last episode that I had mixed up the cuff and the toe yarn when I had knit it, because even though I have a large size foot, like a US 9.5 or a European 40/41, the toe has significantly more yarn than the cuff does. And I think I still have, this is what I have left over just from half. So I might be able to use this in an upcoming project. It might go on my blanket, but I talked about it last time. And even then, the shorter amount, I still had 30 rows. I got really tired of doing 2x2 twisted rib, so I stopped a little early and I just switched to stockinette. And so I just kind of have this thick stripe of green. Doesn't bother me so much, but it makes a really long leg. And so I did the body of the sock in size 0, and I did most of it on my 9-inch circular. But when I got to the heel, I grabbed a set of double pointed needles that I thought were size 1s, but they were size 1.5s. The DPN said size 1, but it's a 2.5 millimeter needle. And I just did a regular wrap and turn heel, and it actually fits really well. So it gives that little bit of extra space so it's not super tight on my instep. So if you like knitting a really tight gauge on your socks with size 0s, but you find the instep is really tight and maybe you don't have a lot of space for a heel, I would suggest maybe try a larger needle just for the heel. So I think I might start doing that just so it gives a little bit of extra give for when you wear it. And I think I marked how many rows because this is where my heel is, and that's where I started the toe, and I just did a regular decreased toe. I might have only gone down to, that's a pretty wide toe, so maybe only 12 across. I'm finding my socks that I did down to 8 stitches on each needle before Kitchener, the sides have been bothering my toes. That there's not bumps, but just the seam is bothering me. So I think I'm gonna start doing less stitches per needle before I Kitchener stitch my toes. Still learning things, and this is like my 20-something pair of socks I've knitted since I've started knitting socks last summer. I don't know how many this makes for the year. If I count those two, I think it's like 15 pairs of socks. So this might be pair 16, maybe, but it's not a full pair, so 15 and a half. So Regia, Arnie, and Carlos Garden colorway, but I'm calling them my Christmas socks because they are red and green. My husband gets on to me about that because he's like, just because it's red and green doesn't mean it's Christmas related. But I'm like, but if you talk to pretty much anybody, red and green brings up the thoughts of Christmas. Am I wrong? Let me know in the comments. So I cast on the other one. There's not much done to it. I'll talk about that in a second. And my last one, I have finished Tuma's scarf. I was going to send it home with my parents when they were visiting, but I have this whole ball left, so I was going to make her a hat to go with her scarf. And now the scarf is the Neutral Slant Scarf. I couldn't think of that for the life of me last time. By Lion Brand. And I'm done. So, the way you knit this is you start in a corner, you increase until you get to 70 stitches, or you could adjust the width depending on if you're using thinner yarn or thicker yarn. This is a free pattern on Ravelry, and every 5th row out of 6, you do this eyelet pattern, yarn over, knit 2 together. I didn't want to do it so frequently in the body of the scarf, so as soon as I was done increasing, I switched to every 11th row out of 12. So I just doubled it. So then there's less holes throughout the scarf / wrap. And then this is where I joined a ball. So this is slightly more than what it would be in the actual Lion Brand Scarfie ball. But I made this just so she can kind of wear around her shoulders and kind of keep her shoulders warm. So it's not super long. I think it's about the same size as what the pattern called for. But if I'm sitting right here right now, I can stretch it to my knees. And then her arms will be covered. And then if I make her a little hat, I just might use the Tin Can Knits barley hat without the garter stitch panel in it to just make her a hat to wear while she's around. So I have to cast on that hat and get it done. There's so much stuff to do in December, you guys. So much stuff. Okay, so you can see I need to take a good like finished object picture for my Ravelry page. But it's done, and I'm hoping that she loves it. She loves the blanket that I sent to her, I want to say like about a year ago, a little over a year ago, because my time hop reminded me that we flew back to the States a year ago today. Makes me really sad. I want to go back every single day. Okay, that's a tangent though for another day. Let's go into some works in progress. I'm hoping I'm not talking too fast for you guys today. I just don't want it to be a super long episode. And hopefully I can come back to you guys sooner than 2 weeks. I have a few works in progress. 2 of them are gift knits and 1 of them is for me. I should maybe actually look at my project notes instead of guessing, right? So we'll do something really quick. We'll do the second sock that I'm working on from the Arnie and Carlos. So here's the cake. I remembered which side to start from this time. And I had gotten a shipment in from Knit Picks. I had ordered some double pointed needles during the sale. I did not order 1 skein of yarn. I'm very proud of myself. And I get to use my little DPN holder that my FiberShare partner sent to me. This is Kitchen Counter Crafter, and it's tea and coffee related. I did start these on my 9-inch circulars, but I don't enjoy knitting cuffs with those because cuffs are a little bit tighter, so I found I was kind of struggling with the stitches. I've been wanting to try some metal double pointed needles. I did not want to pay the price for signatures, and I didn't want to buy Hayas. I didn't really want to buy anything off Amazon. So, and I like my Knit Picks needles, and I actually really enjoy these. I'm not very far, so I'm kind of getting used to the rhythm of DPNs again. So I think I'm just 5 rows into the cuff right now. 2x2 twisted rib. Yeah, for a second I thought I maybe only did 1x1, and then my socks wouldn't have matched. I wouldn't have ripped it out for anything though. So just doing the cuff right now. This is just marking my first row and then holding it until I need a marker, because usually I don't have markers around when I need them. And then I'm always looking for them because they're always in one spot and I'm always knitting downstairs. So that's what I'm doing right now. Enjoying the double points so far. So these are size 0 double points. I'm just going to do the cuff, and then I'm going to switch back to my 9-inch circulars to do the body. And then I actually ordered these same DPNs in a US 1.5 to use for my Cozy Memories blanket, because I wasn't enjoying knitting it with the needles that I had. And then I can do the heel just like I did before, because the DPNs I use for the other sock are like 10-inch wood ones that I almost broke because I was really tight knitting my heel or something. So work in progress number 1. I need to have these done by Christmas. but I have some other knits that I need to concentrate on getting done first, like my next one, which is over here, which is my brother-in-law's ribbed hat. I am using the stitch count from Jesse's Christmas hat, but I did not do the cable detail that's along the brim because it's black yarn. You can't really see what's going on anyways, so I wasn't going to do a cable detail or something that would have gotten lost anyway. So what I did instead was I'm doubling up the brim. I haven't sewed the brim yet, so it is longer than what it should be, and it looks really small, but it actually stretches out pretty far. So black yarn, it looks so interesting, right? There we go. I'm trying to blow out the camera a bit so maybe you can see. Here's the purl ridge that I put in, and that's my marker for my first row. So all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take the tail and sew it in. I know I can pick up the stitches around, and then I wouldn't have had to do the sewing, but I just couldn't get it. I could have watched a video. I'm sure Stacy from Very Pink Knits has a tutorial on it, but I was impatient. My parents were here. I didn't want to be rude sitting on my phone trying to watch YouTube. So I'm just going to go back and I'm going to sew it in myself. Not a big deal. It'll be fine. So I think I just have not very much longer, maybe 1 more inch. And in the pattern, the decrease rounds are only like 6 rounds, and that's it. And it doesn't go down to the typical 8 stitches. I think it's a lot more. Let me read my pattern. It's free. So you can see the picture here. I just took out this cable detail. It's really simple. It was just kind of like an X detail. Yeah, it's only 7 rounds. Oh, it goes down to 13 stitches, but it decreases pretty rapidly. You can kind of see the top of the hat. Creates that little dip in there. Sorry for the glare. But if it fits his head, I don't think he's gonna mind if it might look odd, I guess. But this is just some Swish merino from Knit Picks. My sister actually ordered it and sent it along with my next yarn for my next work in progress. And I did the brim on US size 5s and the rest of the hat on US size 7s, I believe. Yes. So fairly simple, just knit 2, purl 2, and it's super stretchy. So even though it looks pretty small, it'll fit his head really well. Because I was getting questioned by people in my house. Is that gonna fit his head? Yes, it will. I promise. It's not my first rodeo show, but you know, that's for another day. 2 more sock work in progress, and one of my Helix socks, which I probably haven't gotten too much farther on since last time I saw you. I know I had the heel in last time, and I did an afterthought heel. My next sock I might not bother and just put in a short row heel. You're not going to notice when it's on my feet anyways. But toe up 56 stitches on a size 1 needle, afterthought heel. All the notes are in my project page. I've noticed my projects from the beginning of the year don't have a lot of detail in them, and I'm kind of kicking myself because I go back to look to reference, you know, how many stitches I use for that particular sock based on how it fits my foot, and I forgot to put stitch counts or how many rows I knit, and then I get really mad at myself for not doing that. So, and I am at 50 rows from the heel to the top, and I still have a lot of yarn left in both of the colors. These are just some 2 commercial yarns that Caitlin from the Wool Jewel podcast, when we did a little swap, sent me. So I don't know if I'm going to start the second sock with these 2, or grab the other 2 that I had reserved for the other socks or not. But I think it's kind of cool how it's striping up. My husband actually really likes them, minus the bright blue heel, but they're too small for his foot. They're like an inch too short for him. He would still wear them just because they're tight. He likes super tight socks. He's not a fan of the hand knit socks that are looser because he's used to the commercial tightness of like the elastic that you get from buying like Under Armour socks or stuff like that. And those are just being held in my, I got this from like the German TK Maxx. It's their version of TJ Maxx. And it's just, I feel the start of something new, and I needed something to remind me of that bright orange inside, which is my favorite. So that, and then one more. I might mention that none of these other projects are in project bags except for that one, because everything else is out so I can just pick it up and start working on it at home. And, oh, but my ribbed hat is in my big skein in the, little skein in the big wool, I think. Sorry, if you just heard Oliver shouting. Yeah, little skein in the big wool, which is the ribbed hat. Now my last one is hanging out in a yarn bowl that my sister gave me. It's kind of cool because it looks kind of like a music note instead of the typical scroll like swirl that are in a lot of these. I think my mom said she had picked it up at a market or fair in North Carolina. And these are her socks, my sister. She lives in North Carolina. So I'm doing 2 at a time blueberry waffles. This is Knit Picks Hawthorne in, I happen to have the tag, yes, Selwood. This is my first time working with Hawthorne and I like it. The toes were a little funky to get started and I feel like my gauge is really tight with these socks, which is good because I had on a pair of blueberry waffles yesterday that I had supposedly had the same stitch count and the same needle and they feel really loose. And my sister's foot is, I believe, is kind of skinnier. It's definitely shorter by 1 foot size. So I'm hoping, I'll try them on as I go just to see how tight they are around my foot. I don't think she would mind slightly looser socks. So I'm just getting these started. I cheat, probably not the best word to use, but I make my toes or my cuffs separately and then I put them on the same circular. I don't start from the get-go 2 at a time socks or 2 at a time anything if I'm doing any of that except for sleeves. All of them I knit them separately so I have less like strings in the way because when I'm done then I can tuck the ends down here in the toe and then when I put them in I only have the 2. And Connie from Chili Knits, you use a button. Make sure you do it before you cast on, which I have made that mistake every once in a while. And you thread the inside and the outside of the cake into here. It still gets tangled. Don't think it's gonna fix your tangling problem, but when it does get tangled, all you have to do is just grab the button, push down, and it untwists. You just have to make sure your needles don't run into your working yarn. Ta-da! And now it's untwisted and I can go on about my business, move the button back down to the cake and keep knitting. I chose too big of a button, honestly. Size does matter in that case. But it helps out a lot, and then also keeping it in a yarn bowl if you're not out and about knitting makes a world of difference too. Why do I keep drinking bubbly water during podcast? I have to stop doing that. But just blueberry waffles. These are 64 stitch counts. I did Judy's Magic Cast On, 12 stitches on each needle. For the same reason I just said recently, the bumps on the bottoms of socks or the sides of the socks from the seams have been bothering my toes when I wear them. Like they just sit funny when I put on my socks. Does that make sense? So I did 12 each, up to 64 total stitches, so 32 on each, and then starting the blueberry waffle pattern until I get to the heel. And I will do a short row heel. And depending on how long the socks are, if they're a little short, because Hawthorne is short on yardage, where a normal 100 gram skein of fingering weight yarn is like over 400 yards or 400 or more, sometimes as much as 460. These only get 357 yards. So that's significantly less yardage. So depending on how tall they get, I might take this Stroll Inverness because I think it would go pretty well. It's like a little green, navy blue. I'll end up doing these for the cuffs. We'll see how far I get. These I have to get done. So I think these are going to be priority. Hat is going to be next. Hat for my grandmother next. And then my Christmas socks. I wanted to do so much in December and I feel like I let myself get behind. Womp, womp. Okay. And that is all for my works in progress. Now let's talk about some stuff I've gotten in the mail. This showed up the day after I podcasted last, so I didn't get to show it last time. This was from the Get Your Yarn Wishes Granted, and I have my one skein up here from Carrie from the Creative Obsession. I'm still wanting to do a Zweig sweater and using that as the yoke, but I don't know what color to do for the main part of the sweater. So as soon as I get the inspiration on what I want to go with it, it's going to look pretty on my yarn wall. Janine from the Yarn and You, lovely, lovely lady, granted my wish of the Lorax self-striping sock set. How exciting is this? I should take a screenshot of this one right here just because it makes me so happy. So the Lorax is a Dr. Seuss book. My name is the Lorax. I speak for the trees. And we also own the movie. And this is the actual color of like the Lorax. And this is a lot of the colors from the book. And it just makes me so happy. Like this bright yellow and the pink and the purple. These are going to get cast on very soon. So she sent me her Lorax self-striping set. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And she also tossed in this really fun Hachito. This is Pakupura, I think, because it's the same as these. No, Mirasol? Now I don't know. Mirasol Peru. Then they're different. Okay. I think I own some other stuff from this though. Sorry for misspeaking. This is Mirasol Hachito. It's supposed to be finger weight, but look how plump that is. It made me think it was not fingering weight, to be honest. And I thought, I think I might be able to get some socks out of this, but because it's plumper, I might be able to use maybe a sport weight for heels and cuffs just so I can get slightly longer than shorty socks. But I don't know. It's so pretty. It's color number 2. It doesn't say. Spun in Peru though, and it's 80 wool, 20 nylon. So these are going to be some socks at some point. It's like all my favorite colors, this coral and purples. I mean, come on, like look at my whole wall. It matches so well. So thank you, Janine, if you're watching. I really appreciate it. It made me smile when I got it. So, and then some other stuff that I got from Knit Picks. I got those just real quick. Just some more DPNs in their nickel plated. I think they're nickel plated. It doesn't even say. Yeah, nickel plated double points. These are my 1.5s that I want to use on my Cozy Memories blanket because I was just using some cheap German needles that they work, but the joins with the circulars were terrible. One of them are bent. I can show you these. They bend at the bottom before they join here. It's okay for straight knitting, but I was using them for socks and they were driving me nuts. They're not Lana Grossa. This is the package for the other needles that I have. So I got these to work my Cozy Memories blanket for the month of December because I plan to knit a square a day because they only take me about 45 minutes from start to finish. And I have, let me show you my bin of leftover yarn / minis. This thing is full. It's huge. So this is all leftovers / minis of, it's like super bright. Let's just cover that one up. And so I want to do 1 square a day, and I have some planned already. Like I've had some of these minis for a really long time. I think this is Mint Rain. And then some people have sent me some minis, plus I have lots of leftovers. So that's my plan. And then I also just got some point protectors because I put them on the ends of my double points to make them straights for when I do my blanket. I was using different point protectors with the carbons, but the carbons, the join was really wonky and they're sending me a replacement. Thank goodness. Knitter's Pride, thank you so much for your fantastic customer service. Okay, so I'll show my Cozy Memories. It hasn't gotten any bigger, but if I do 1 square a day from now until Christmas, I will have obviously 24 to 25 more squares. So I'm hoping, I know I might fall behind just because of what I have going on with gift knitting and stuff. I'm hoping to at least get 20 more squares for the month of December done. So hopefully do some more stair stepping. I don't think I'll square it off at all, but I'll mark them and of course I'll show them as I go. The boys like to help pick out the colors whenever I do more. We set out the blanket and then we set out where the squares go and then they help me pick them out. I do a little rearranging sometimes, but I kind of let them choose. Or what I might do is I might have them go choose a color and then I'll just decide where to put it in the blanket next. So that's a plan for December. Let's also talk about different plans for December knitting wise. My friend Lauren, Wool Pickle, I mention her a lot, has really gotten into some color work mittens, and she got me not hooked on them, but very interested in making some for myself. I would love to have some either full mittens or fingerless mittens to wear to the bus stop in the mornings. And I found Erica Heuser, Heusser Designs, and she was having a sale for the indie gift along, and she has some beautiful color work mittens, and I chose these dandelion mitts. They're called Wishmaker mitts that I'm very excited about making. If you don't know, military children, like this is the dandelion's kind of their icon, like representation, because we kind of bloom where we're planted. And like, if I find more information, I can link it down below. But the dandelion is often frequently used when talking about military families and military children. So I picked out 2 of my colors. I cannot decide on a third. I'm going to pull them off my wall because I put them up here. So I'm going to start with this Madeline Tosh in Envy. Envy? Wait. Yes. Sorry. Because I really love all the blues and the greens. And I'm using this Knit Pick Stroll in one of the heathers. I don't remember the name of the heather. Wonderland heather, I think, for the dandelion motif. Now, I can't pick out this third color that's going to be right here. I have a lot of options, you guys. So let's see. I have these 2 here. My original thought was maybe this green. It's kind of bright. It doesn't directly touch this light blue, so it would be with this right here. Or I have a lot of this green left, and you only need 80 yards. No, wait, border. 25 yards. And I'm going to have more of this left over when I finish my second sock. But I feel like it matches a little too much. Yes, matches a little too much. I also have this. Just some plain off-white. This is Skinny Singles Hedgehog Fibers typewriter in a very white version. My other typewriter was very gray. Very gray. So I have that. Or who doesn't love a little sparkle in their life? Very similar kind of to the colors that are already in the mitten. And I have plenty of it. Let me show you. So I'm thinking this right here. So I think I'm going to go for this. I don't know when I'm going to cast these on because it's not part of my December plan, but it's something that I want to knit soon. And I'm hoping that the variegation in this won't hide the color work too much. I'm sure I'll find out. If it's too much, then I might just order a regular skein of Stroll or Hawthorn in a dark color to go with these 2. Because I love these 2. I love blue. Purple. I love all colors. What can I say? So that is on the horizon. I will probably cast it on sooner than I say, because that's how it always works, and go from there. But I have other plans that I need to get done, but sometimes there's things that you want to get done, right? Story of my life. And then I swatched for a sweater yesterday, but I need to do another swatch because it was too small. It's for Alicia Plummer's Ease in Bulky. Just a quick picture. And then I got that sweater's quantity of this Araucania in Bulky. I may look like a giant thing of cotton candy when it's all said and done. If I still have the picture of the swatch that I knit last night, I'll kind of put it in right here. But it's going to be really nice and super cozy to wear to the bus stop in the mornings or on those days that it's really cold. But I swatched it on a needle size down because I don't have any ChiaoGoo needle tips in size 11. I only have my knit picks, and I detest my cords for those right now. I might have like one kind of slack cord that I might be able to use for it, but for now I might swatch one more time. In the round, my swatch I did was flat, and I was 3 stitches short, and this is not superwash, so it's not going to grow a whole lot when I'm all done. So I need to swatch for that again. And then I have been wanting, this is another Alicia Plummer, I've been wanting to do the campside shawl. I had bought all of this yarn on sale from Joann. It is Patton's Silk Bamboo. It's super pretty. The shine is beautiful. I had to order more because I did not want to do separate colors. Wow, look at that shine. It's going to be like a really pretty and super soft. My dog is whining at me and I don't know why. That's Lucy for you. So it's going to be really pretty. This is my plan to do for December. Finish up all my gift knits. Work on 1 square a day on my Cozy Memories. Cast on this shawl. Cast on the sweater. And hopefully have as much as all that done by the end of the month. I'm reaching. I realize I don't have infinite amount of time to knit. It's the holidays. I have appointments that I have to make for myself and the boys, etc. But the plan is to have my socks, 1 square of Cozy Memories a day, the sweater, and the shawl. I think I'm going to save the mittens for January. I think. It's only December 1st. I might change my mind. And then go from there. And then work through my stash. I'm going to try really hard not to buy any yarn from the beginning of the year until the middle of the year, like 2017, because I have 3 sweaters worth of yarn that I can do, plus a lot of yarn in my stash, a couple projects already planned with the yarn that's here. I mean, I have a lot. I don't need to buy anything else right now. The only thing I might buy is maybe 1 more pair of sock needles, some 40-inch Chiaogus, because doing the 2 at a time on 32-inch is a little dicey sometimes. So that is all for the knitting content. I kept it to 37 minutes or so. Thank you so much for stopping by. If you want to hear some about our life and my visit with my parents this weekend, then if you like what you saw, like and subscribe. I'm really trying hard to hit 100 subscribers. I'm super duper close. Don't knock something over. Lucy, come here. Come here. Come here. This is my puppy Lucy. Isn't she sweet? She's gonna try to lick me to death. Sorry. If you like what you saw, like and subscribe. If you want to hang around, thank you so much for sticking with me to see what's going on. I think she just wants some snuggles. Thanks again, you guys. Bye. Okay, if you were here to hear about my life, thanks for sticking around. My parents did come to visit. Okay, Lucy, come here. Can you sit? Sit. I might have to edit all this out, but why not? Like, who doesn't love cute dogs, right? Okay, my parents did come to visit, and they promptly got sick on day 3. Probably from traveling on the plane, you know, all that recycled air. It's a lot drier here than it is in Virginia where they live. It's like a lot more humidity, whereas here it's like 20% most of the time or less. So it's super dry, and the recycled air from flying on their 2 flights to get here, I think that's how they got sick. We luckily haven't, so I'm thinking it's just the change in the weather for them and the traveling part. But I felt really bad because it was the first time they came to visit us in 5 years. And the boys are really excited for them to come, and then they got sick. We did get to go to the zoo. They did get to see some of El Paso. We took them on Scenic Drive. We kind of showed them around the city via the interstate and stuff. But we kind of stuck at home. Oliver's birthday was on Thanksgiving, and we did a non-traditional Thanksgiving dinner of ribs and mashed potatoes, broccoli salad. Lucy, you're trying to steal the spotlight. Who, me? Yes, you. And I made a cake for them, and we had lots of really yummy food, lots of leftovers. I did give them their handmade gifts for Christmas, and with their reactions, I don't think I'm going to be making hand knit gifts for them anymore. I had made a pair of socks for each of them, and I made a shawl for my mother because she's always complaining that it's super cold. And they didn't try them on. They didn't wear them at all for the rest of the trip. I think my dad appreciates them, but my dad's kind of a man of few words to begin with. I'm going to try to get her to lay down. There we go. Lay down. It's okay. But I don't know if I'll be making hand knit gifts for them anymore, and it makes me a little sad because you're supposed to want to knit for your family, right? if you're a knitter, obviously. Not everybody wants to knit for their family. So I don't think I'm going to. I might change my mind next year. Remind me in August next year if you're still watching or if I'm still podcasting by that point about whether I should knit for my family. This is getting very frustrating. She doesn't want to lay down. We should put this in the screenshot. Ew. This is like the only time she's ever around any of my knit stuff anyways. Everything goes in the wash before I wear it. She's our only puppy and she's short, pretty short hair. So those of you that are cringing about her being around the yarn, she's good. So, yeah, I came to that conclusion. And then Oliver is shouting right now. Sorry. I could say like it's never like this, but I would be totally lying. My life is bananas sometimes. Welcome to my life. One day at a time. I'm going to have to kick her off my lap. Love you, Lucy. Bye. Shake, 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 shake. No. Go away. I'm going to have to edit out a lot of this stuff because of the shenanigans going on. And then Levi went back to school. They got to open up their advent calendars today, so they're very excited. Levi got Lego Star Wars, and Oliver got Paw Patrol. Oliver has been asking me all day if he can open up more boxes. He doesn't quite, I mean, he just turned 4, so he doesn't understand the waiting every day to open one. He wants to open all of them because he wants to find the pups, and he wants to find Ryder. If you don't watch Paw Patrol, you don't know what I'm talking about. He wants to find the different characters. His are all little figurines to play with, and Levi's are all Star Wars people, ships that he builds, like they're little Lego creations. So they were really excited to open those today. Levi has 2.5 more weeks of school before he's out, and he gets a pretty long winter break, which is really nice. We have no plans to go anywhere. My husband is very busy. He has his holiday concert. That's kind of like what the Army bands do around this time of year, depending on which one we're at. This one just is the one holiday concert, and it's tomorrow. We will not be going because it starts at 7:30 at night, and the downtown area is also doing a parade of lights and a Christmas tree lighting ceremony, and I am not a fan of parking in those kinds of situations where there are large crowds of people, especially when I have 2 children that don't understand waiting and being patient. And there's lots of construction going around downtown, so it's even more anxiety-inducing to be in situations like that. So we will not be doing that. We'll watch the parade on TV. And maybe we'll go next year if they're like, maybe the construction will be done downtown and we won't have to worry about it so much. I don't know. And then we're just doing day-to-day things. Grocery store shopping. I'm knitting. I'm recovering. It took me 2 days to recover from my parents leaving because I disinfected the entire boys' room. I had to go buy Lysol. Usually don't have Lysol in the house. And so I had to clean all of the bedding, the mattress protectors, spray down the mattresses. So the boys haven't gotten sick, like knock on wood yet, but it is kind of that time of year anyways, even if my parents weren't sick. So we'll just see what happens and hope for the best, right? So I hope you guys enjoyed everything that I had to say today, and I hope to see you guys in maybe like a week or 2, and I'll have lots more knitting and stuff to show. Thanks again. I'm glad today was a short episode. Hopefully they'll all be relatively short from now on. Thanks, you guys. Love you.